Have you ever had to strain your eyes to thread a tiny piece of thread through the eye of a needle? Your eyes are tired, your hands are shaking, and the thread just keeps teasing you and won't go through. Especially when you're sewing in a hurry, that frustrating feeling is like giving up. Actually, I used to be like that too, and I tried everything from blowing on the thread, licking the end of the thread, even using a magnifying glass to look at it, but it still didn't work. So today, I'm going to share with you 4 super fast tips for threading a needle, all of which use items you already have at home, are super easy to do, and anyone can do it, even if your eyes aren't as sharp as they used to be. You'll be surprised that things that seem unrelated can help you thread a needle in just a few seconds. Let's start with the first tip, threading a needle with a broom and cotton swab. First, I will take a small piece of fishing line from the broom, set it aside. Next, take a cotton swab. Cut off the cotton at both ends to keep the plastic part in the middle. Fold the fishing line in half and thread it through the hole of this plastic part. Creating an oval ring on the top. The excess part below, I use a lighter to lightly heat the fishing line to shrink it to fit the plastic bar, helping to fix it firmly. Now, just put the oval part through the needle hole. Thread the thread into the ring. Then pull gently, and the thread will pass through the needle hole easily without straining your eyes or wasting time. The advantage of this method is that the brush thread is very thin but flexible and durable. The oval ring created has a slight elasticity, helping to keep the thread fixed when pulling without slipping. In addition, the plastic body of the cotton swab acts as a handle, making it easier for you to control, especially useful for those with poor eyesight or shaky hands. Moving on to the second tip, threading a needle using a button and a copper wire core. First, I prepare a winter coat button, a large, thick button with a small round hole on the back. This will be the fixed point to help create a sturdy needle threader. Next, I take a piece of broken wire. Use scissors or pliers to strip off the plastic covering on the outside to reveal the copper core inside. Choose a small, thin, and moderately long copper core. I thread this copper wire through the round hole of the button. Then fold it in half to form an oval loop on top. The size of the oval loop should be large enough to easily insert the thread, but still compact enough to fit the needle hole. Once the oval loop is created, I keep the bottom part firmly attached to the button to secure it, helping it not to slip or deform when operating. Now I put the oval loop through the needle hole first. Then thread the thread into the middle of the oval loop, and then gently pull the needle out. The thread is threaded quickly and neatly through the needle. The advantage of this trick is that the copper wire is both hard and flexible, helping to keep the oval shape fixed, not collapsing or distorting when threaded through the needle hole. The button acts as a sturdy handle, much easier to control than holding the copper wire directly. In addition, because the oval ring is made of copper wire of uniform thickness, it will slide smoothly through the needle hole without getting stuck or rubbing much, very suitable for small needles or hand-sewing needles. Tip 3. Thread a needle with a paper clip and copper wire. First, I prepare a small or medium-sized paper clip, depending on the needle you use, and a copper wire taken from a broken piece of electrical wire. Take a thin and moderately long copper wire. Next, I fold the copper wire in half so that the two ends are equal, then twist the bottom part tightly to secure it. This twist helps the two copper wires not to separate when pulling the thread, and also creates a compact handle. After twisting, I use a paper clip to clamp the copper wire. I leave the top of the copper wire intact, creating an oval loop large enough to easily thread the thread through, but still large enough to pass through the needle's eye. Once the oval loop is created, I insert this loop into the needle's eye first, then insert the thread into the middle of the oval loop. Finally, just hold the handle firmly and pull the needle out, and the thread is threaded through the needle's eye neatly and quickly. With a thin and flexible copper wire, the oval ring can easily pass through the needle hole, while the paper clip acts as a sturdy handle, helping to operate faster and more accurately. This method does not require heating or fixing with other materials, so it is very quick and can be done while sewing without having to prepare many tools. In particular, because the copper wire retains its slight elasticity, when pulling the thread through, it will not fray or fluff the thread ends, very suitable for thin thread or embroidery thread. Tip 4. Thread a needle with aluminum foil and copper wire. First, I prepared a small piece of aluminum foil, cut it into a rectangle that fits my hand, and a copper wire taken from a broken piece of wire. I folded the copper wire in half so that the two ends were equal. The top part formed a moderate oval loop, enough to thread the thread through, but still neat enough to go through the needle's eye. Next, I placed the tail of the copper wire in the middle of the aluminum foil I had just prepared, then rolled the aluminum foil around the copper wire. The aluminum foil will hug the copper wire tightly, creating a sturdy handle that is easy to hold when operating. After fixing it, I put the oval loop of the copper wire through the needle's eye first, then put the thread in the middle of the oval loop. Finally, just gently pull the needle out and the thread will fit neatly and quickly in the needle's eye. With simple tools, the advantage of this trick is that the foil is both light and flexible, helping to fix the copper wire firmly without using glue or other tools. The foil handle grips the hand, is non-slip, helping to operate quickly and accurately. At the same time, because the copper wire is wrapped in foil, your hand will not be stained or scratched when pulling. This method is especially useful when you need to thread many needles in a row, because the foil handle can be reused many times and is still as sturdy as the original. So I've just shared with you 4 extremely fast and simple tips for threading a needle using familiar household items. Each tip has its own advantages, helping you save time, reduce eye strain, and make threading a needle easier than ever. Whichever method you choose, in just a few seconds, the thread will be in the needle's eye, ready to sew. Hopefully these tips will help you feel that sewing becomes easier and more enjoyable. Which tip do you like best, or do you have any better tips? Leave a comment to share with me. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so that I have more motivation to share more useful tips with you.